Oh yes, legends. How's everybody doing? Let's analyze the situation here for the price of Bitcoin. Let's go. Are you ready, guys? Let me know if you are ready. Are you excited? Are we going to go to all-time high? I'm going to ask the community here that do you think are we going to be hitting all-time high? Make sure to absolutely destroy that like button, legends. How is everyone? Hope you're doing good. Bitcoin, new highs of the range that have been created throughout the last 24 hours. Another high, guys. It is high after high after high till we finally reach all-time high, right, at some stage. So we'll be analyzing a little bit of the internal structure here, how we moved up from the base of this consolidation to try and understand, hey, do we get that breakout from all-time high? Do we front run all-time high? What are the different options? Where are the best trading opportunities lying, guys? Now, yesterday, we were analyzing very, very carefully here this consolidation to the downside that we were having, okay, throughout the stream yesterday. Wasn't too confident in catching the low here on the downtrend. However, an option was looking for the break of the trend, okay? If you did get into that trade, stop loss here beneath the lows, either the lows or beneath the trend line was definitely an option to have an attempt here of this descending wedge or descending channel, if you wish, right? To finally move up and claim those highs. Anybody that got into that long position made some pretty significant profits, right? We're talking about this movement right over here. Let's get that break of trend at least, regardless. Taking out the lows, hitting the previous week open or point of control of the range. First sign of strength would be breaking the downtrend, right? Keeping it easy and simple for the viewers, right? Nothing too complicated, right? Trying to make it easy for the people so they can follow through, right? Anybody that jumped into another long position after the trend breakout, well, eventually is banking on some profits with the movement of the last 24 hours, right? We try and keep it as well a little bit simple. I like to go a little bit complicated to see what are the different waves that can be formed. Is this a good low? Are we going to bounce from here, right? We're finding support. This support right over here is the 50% Fibonacci from the recent higher low to the pivot high. We can see that 50% Fibonacci bouncing perfectly just a few hours ago. Also with the previous day point of control, right? When we get the session volume profile and we analyze the previous day range, we can see that point of control as well, the highest volume node right over here, getting that support. So is this it? It's time for some new highs. Was this the corrective move? And we are just going to start climbing here to the upside. We do have a little bit of resistance, which is the daily open. You can see this white horizontal line. That is today's open, right? We already got a little cheeky rejection of a few $100 from that daily open of today, right? Today we opened exactly at $106,800. We're coming up to attempt to break it right now. And we do have the previous day value area high, which we did struggle a little bit. We did get a little bit of resistance in this zone. So this is going to be an interesting area, which is actually with the VWAP, okay? VWAP is sitting right over here at this zone, which could provide us a little bit of a dancing movement, right? Potentially before we break out or we actually get a larger pullback and then maybe continue to the upside, right? Those are different options. We're going to go a little bit in detail here on what would be the best trading opportunity, what would be the best sign of strength. Remain patient to either see a break of trend or look at proof of support if we do get another lower high and we create another higher low, right? Just like yesterday on the stream. I'm not too sure about this. It does look very five wavy. The best sign of strength eventually would be breaking that trend. So let's just wait for the trend breakout, right? Whoever waited for the trend breakout for a confirmation, just in case, in these pullbacks, some people are going to get long here. Some people are going to long here. Some people are going to say, right, this is a zigzag, right? ABC, I'm ready for the long. This is likely going to break right now. And then they long early and then we move down. We still have some support levels beneath us. So instead of waiting, okay, or entering early, of course, in the long position here, we wait for the trend breakout, realizing that this does look quite impulsive. This could be corrective, a little bit of a WXY double zigzag. I didn't like it too much. There was that potential here of forming a little zigzag in this range. But we got the trend breakout, which was our initial sign if you wanted to take that decision with good risk management with your stop loss and aiming, of course, for some new highs. Whoever took that trade yesterday, eventually waiting patiently for that trend breakout, made a bit of money, right? Made a bit of money because we did get the trend breakout and we continued to create new highs. So let's go right away with some different scenarios, remaining patient. What are the best scenarios to get into a trade, which I know is going to very likely give me some profits, right? And maybe not stop me out. Of course, stop losses are there. They are our friends, guys. Okay, stop losses are friends. It's a way how we can manage risk where we have invalidation levels. So let's go right away through the comment section. Say hello to the beautiful community, okay? Anybody that got into any longs lately, I know lots of people are going to say, I'm long from $80,000, right? But we are talking about internal new opportunities, right? Shorts are not looking too attractive, right? I haven't been shorting for quite a while because the shorts, in this uptrend, the movement's down, are not being too aggressive, right? They're looking very corrective. So overall, getting into new long positions on this heavy uptrend, especially when we have not hit all-time high just yet, it seems like, let's try and jump into some long positions till we get to the highs, because we don't know if the highs are going to be broken successfully. Are they going to get choppiness, right? If we retrace, then you just want to take some profits, of course, from those intraday trading setups. Latest long positions that we mentioned throughout the last few days was this breakout of this little range over here. We were looking for a three-wave structure, regardless if we got continuation or not. Okay, we got a trend breakout here, realizing that a three-wave move is very likely on the formation. So that was a trade mentioned a few days ago. And the latest one from yesterday, waiting for the confirmation. The best confirmation here would be breaking the trend, okay, and looking for the highs as your target zone. So overall, ultimately, still interested, more in long positions, right? This one was a little bit aggressive for a long position just because the price action did move down in a very one-wavy matter, right? So this is why I'm a little bit aware of a lower high being formed in this region, right? Very possible. I'm not sure if it's going to happen. Trying to get into a short trade on a lower high in a uptrend, it's like a little bit suicidal, right? The trend is your friend. The trend is extremely explosive throughout the last few weeks. So trying to predict a lower high here, I don't think so, right? It's like, yeah, I know there's resistance. We're going to have to see a lot of information happening here for me to jump into a short. It's kind of, yeah, it's not happening, guys, okay? Shorting in a uptrend and speculating on a lower high in this case is kind of a dangerous game, right? Can it play out? Absolutely. This is why I want to talk about several scenarios. If we jump from here, what are the target zones? Will we get to all-time high? I got some targets right for you here where the price could struggle. Of course, we do have the extreme bullish case scenario, which is that multiple 1-2 setup, right? Which is, this is just going to fly, guys. It's going to fly. We've got another third wave coming in the next coming hours, and we're just going to head up to all-time high. Why not? It's Bitcoin, right? And Bitcoin can absolutely fly. Let's go through the comment section before we go through the technical analysis. I think higher time frame, nothing needed to talk on the higher time frame. We're just very, very bullish. All of these shallow consolidations, right, are just getting bought back up, and we're breaking highs, we're testing highs, we're testing highs, we're testing highs. It is an infinite growth. Bitcoin is pumping right now with the stock market, okay? Stock market getting a nice little pump here, all right? Also a nice sideways range here throughout the last few days, and it does look like it wants to snap out here from this trend, downtrend, right? So everything looks pretty damn good. Bitcoin is pumping for the moment, not getting much resistance. So yeah, we got that VWAP. We got the previous day value area high, which is, yeah, it's not been much of a level by the looks of things, right? So we're just smashing through the resistance, and it does look like we could attempt hitting the highs. Let's see how the price reacts in this zone, because it can be very interesting, okay? It can be very, very interesting. It's either move up to create new highs, or we dance a little bit here where the current VWAP is, and the price could, you know, maybe fail to break out this zone, right? Let's wait and see. Of course, not interested in this short as we are uptrending, guys. You know, this is pretty clear, right? You know, trying to short here for a lower high is definitely risky, okay? But a lower high is possible. Not too interested in this short position. I would be more interested in the price rolling down here, getting resistance at the value area high and the VWAP, and then we can analyze this structure right over here, right? Just like this one right over here, just like this one right over here. Will we manage to finally break out here? This is a corrective structure, three-wave structure, and we finally break out the trend and we head up to hit the highs of today. That is going to be a little bit of the plan with a bit of drawings. I'll go in detail, guys. Don't worry. Remember, if you do pay attention, you know, we are looking at the different scenarios, right? Overall here, the possibility of forming a new highs. This could be the end of the flat, okay? If we start breaking resistance levels, if we do break the resistance of this downtrend, well, eventually we could be heading up to the highs. So it's a matter of being patient. That's how we trade, guys. We wait for confirmation. We wait for a clear sign, okay, to get into a trading setup. Or you can just long, right? If you just long and long and long, you know, you're going to end up being very, you know, good, right? But we like to get into good entries, right? Just imagine anybody entering into any long positions in this pullback, for example, right? And they enter with a 50x leverage, or they like, yeah, this is going to bounce, right? And then obviously this drop is going to eat you up, right? So we try and manage risk. For the moment, Bitcoin is breaking out here, the value area high and the VWAP. So up we go, guys. Up we go. Yeah, this was a little bit, you know, the clearest support level that we had today. The clearest support level that we had today, I did not long this level, was the point of control of yesterday, right? Yesterday's point of control and the 50% Fibonacci right over here from this last higher low. you know, of course it's support. If you would have got into that trade on the previous day point of control and the 50% fib, you know, you're in profits without a doubt, right? And you would be aiming for the highs, right? If you do, you know, if you did enter here. For me, it was very one wavy. You know, I kind of prefer a little bit of a 3-wave descending wedgie structure, right? Something similar to this, right? To then say, okay, this is going to be looking good for a new breakout. Okay, this was relatively quick. We just got a really fast drop today, very one wavy. You know, for me, it's better to look for the trade at a better support level or wait for the trend break in this case, right? For, you know, a confirmation, right? That this is looking pretty good. The corrective move is finishing, but overall, this was a little bit aggressive for my style of trading, okay? Of course, it is support. Previous day point of control, 50%. Market is extremely bullish. So, you know, any pullback seems like a good buying opportunity, right? Or good longing opportunity. So let's go right away through the comment section, and then we'll dive in through the technical analysis. How can the waves develop in the next coming hours, right? And, you know, where could we be seeing some opportunities regardless for a long position, right? Longs are more interesting eventually, right? In this uptrend, or maybe short position. And short positions are not going to be that easy, even though in the Legends trading community, 𝗕𝗏𝘆𝗽𝗫, one of the coaches, pointed out a short position, very aggressive, but very quickly to take some profits. He has been talking about that in his live stream, which is hitting a naked point of control here, just under $108,000. I have to say, these kind of shorts, you need to take them aggressive, but they do give you some really good risk to reward. Stop loss above the high on the rejection. If you get the drop, you want to get the heck out, as Bitcoin is very, very bullish, right? It's very, very uptrending. So you don't want to fight the trend for too long if you get rejected from a naked point of control in this case, right? But overall, very well executed, very well guided here on, you know, potential shorts at these levels, giving that guidance at the level. Very, very nice indeed. Guys, if you are interested in the Legends trading community, we have the Discord with coaches, daily video updates, setups. You've got the modules to learn how to trade. That is the 5th link down below in the description, okay? Join the Legends, where you will be going to this website and you have all of the modules to learn how to read the market and look for trading opportunities with good risk. Let's go through the comment section, and then we'll dive in through the highest probability, because I only like to get into high probability trades, right? A lot of people jump into the stream and say, shall we long? Shall we short? What shall we do? Let's wait for a little bit of some structure. We're bouncing very nicely at this first initial level of support, which is that 50% Fibonacci. Okay, if you are uptrending with an impulse and a correction, an impulse and a correction, if it is extremely bullish, what you're looking at is a wave 1, a wave 2, maybe another wave 1 and another wave 2, right? And if your wave 2s, right, get supported, right, your idea for your wave 2 is to bounce in between 50% and the 7/8 Fibonacci retracement. In a very bullish environment, you can even bounce at the 382 or the 50%, right? So sometimes you're waiting for a larger pullback and the price kind of leaves without you, right? It's just so bullish that we only retrace to the shallow Fibonacci retracements. In this case, 50% Fibonacci was enough. Of course, we did have yesterday's point of control, very solid level, guys. These confluence levels, right? They are very, very strong. If you have a point of control with a 50% Fibonacci, right? Previous day point of control, it could act as support. The main question here eventually is, can we rally from here, or will we rally and then move down? Of course, this is a position that you would have already protected, right? Price is moving in your favor. It's a free trade, okay? So overall, we'll be analyzing the situation. If we do get up to the highs, we're going to talk about the different scenarios. My goodness, this is just pumping, guys. This is Bitcoin. We are going to be hitting the highs again, new local highs, and potentially maybe even all-time highs. We're just $2,000 away from hitting all-time highs. Now, I'm going to ask the community, right? And then go through the comment section. Don't worry, guys. We have time for the different setups that I want to explain, okay? We're not FOMOing in. We're not jumping into a long now or in a short. We're going to analyze how the structure could develop, right? There's several ways on how the structure could develop. I'm going to talk about all of the structures that could develop here throughout this pump. And of course, one of them is going to play out as we do our drawings, right? We're going to do our drawings, our levels, our Fibonacci, and of course, one of them is going to play out. And the main game here is to identify if one of those structures are going to be playing out, right? This is what we like to do, right? We talk about different levels, different scenarios. You know, if we do, this could be the end of the correction. If we break out and break value at the VWAP and the point of control, this could actually be very, very bullish for continuation to the upside. Yesterday, we're analyzing this downtrend. Let's remain a little bit patient. We don't know which support is going to be the one that holds. So the best option is wait for the trend breakout. Then you know that the momentum can continue to the upside. So we analyze very carefully here for the highest probability setup, right? And that's what you want to do as a trader, right? Not suddenly jump in at a short, at a VWAP or long the VWAP, right? We want to add the structure and the confluence, right? Price action and trend, most importantly, which is pretty obvious. It is to the upside, right? So let's go right away and ask the community, because I think a lot of people are going to be saying, you know, probably we're heading up to all-time high. I'm feeling sorry a little bit because I did sell some Bitcoin, guys. I did sell some Bitcoin. It's too early. We're going to go to $150,000, $200,000 in the next couple of months, right? But I've been buying Bitcoin since 2018, right? And I think, you know, market is getting heated up. I think, you know, we are losing volume as we're heading up to all-time high. So I just want to stay on the safe side. That is obviously my personal investment, right? That I've been making throughout the last few years. Selling a bit of Bitcoin, of course, to increase my trading accounts, to have more capital, is definitely the option for me right now where the price does sit, right? I do see Bitcoin hitting all-time high and, you know, potentially breaking it and going to 120, 130 in the next coming weeks. However, we never can time the top correctly, right? It's very, very difficult to time that top. So the best thing is, as you're buying on the downtrend, you want to buy, you want to sell as the price is moving up very aggressively, right? Of course, I do see higher. Well, then why did you sell? It's just a personal thing, right? I want to sit more on cash. I want to diversify a little bit. I want to have more capital on my trading accounts. So this is something personal, right? Doesn't mean that you need to go and sell Bitcoin because, you know, you do you, but this is something personal for me to stay on the safe side. Let's go and ask the people here. What is next? Of course, because your opinion matters. What is next for Bitcoin? Right? And I'm going to, you know, this is the question that we've been asking here for the last few days, right? All-time high or sub 100K, right? I think sub 100K is not going to get too much love here on the votes, but I want to know your opinion, right? I want to know your opinion by the moment, but you know, looking at the price action, it does look like that we're heading up to all-time high, right? We're only just $2,000 away. So get those votes kicking in here, guys. And let's see, you know, what is the opinion of the people, right? To see all-time high. Wow. This is starting a 50-50. A 50-50 here. Yeah, we got an all-time high being the winner at the moment. Make sure to get your votes in, legends, okay? So then we can have a general opinion. If people are, you know, very, very bullish, they do see the uptrend being super strong. You know, the structure is your friend, right? And the structure is very much to the upside. Still quite a lot saying we ain't going to reach all-time high. This is also a classic thing, right? I think we are, you know, if we do reach all-time high, I don't see it as a swing failure pattern level. It either front runs all-time high for a larger pullback, or it actually gets up there and it smashes through the all-time high, guys. You know, I don't see any in between, right? I don't see the price dancing around here, okay, and you know, getting that swing failure pattern for a major drop. The problem is of all-time high is everybody is in a profit. Whoever bought Bitcoin in the history, if it was yesterday or last week or last month or last year, anyway, you know, everybody's in profit once you hit all-time high, which is the moment that you start being a little bit concerned, right? Like, everybody's in profit. Who's going to be the first whale that unloads his Bitcoin, right? Because at the end of the day, it's still a speculative asset and people are here to make money, right? People are here to cash out the gains, right? Which is dollars, euros, or whatever currency you have, right? And eventually when you hit all-time high, everybody's in profit. Who will be the first whale to start unloading and create that cascade to the downside? Because it will happen, guys, regardless if it's 120 or it's 140 or it's $160,000 Bitcoin, right? So overall, pumping very aggressively here. Very nice. We got Bitcoin pumping massively, just breaking out here with the stock market, getting a nice little pump on the open. All right, so we're going to have to analyze here together. What are the target zones, right? What are the different options right now, unless we do create a nasty lower high here? All right, for me, there's no option. Getting into a breakout of the VWAP. You know, VWAP can be resistance. It might revisit the VWAP, okay? We're going to have to analyze that situation. I prefer on this uptrend a little bit of a three-wave structure, and then eventually this would be the zone of interest or the break of the trend, right? In this case, it's going to be a pretty steep trend. So overall, we'll be analyzing the different scenarios, okay? We'll be analyzing the different targets here and what we need to look for our next trading opportunity. All right, let's first of all go through the comment section, clean up the chart, and say hello to the beautiful community, because I'm very bad with saying hello. All right, so let's get that out of the way. Say hello to the beautiful community, the legends. Chien, how are you doing? Hello. Zek, a big move is coming. The big move is definitely developing right now. Okay, it seems that all-time high is the target, right? Xiao, what's going on? Eric, hello. Hello from Poland. Patrick, Chill Hills. Kate, much love to you, Kate. How are you doing? Hope you're doing well. Hello, Andy. Thank you. Anthony Mining. Boom, good day. Don't know what spend profits on. I bought me a gold necklace from today's trades. Absolute legend. Nice profits kicking in here from those long positions, I guess, right? Unless you're shorting it, but you're scalping, right? You're very, very aggressive with those shorts. Shorts are not that great at the moment, right? Whoever's been shorting or adding to the short for their swing trade, you know, these are the moments that they have a bad moment, right? Because Bitcoin is very, very bullish. Dylan managed to short at 107,500. Absolute legend. I hope you did take some profits on that. Okay, now Bitcoin is getting a little bit of a reaction here at the 0.88 Fibonacci, I would think, or the 7.8 Fibonacci. Yeah, just hitting that 7.8 Fibonacci. Let's put all of our fib levels right over here. Yeah, 7.8 has been tapped, getting a little bit of a reaction on the 7.8. Let's continue through the comment section, and then we'll go through the different scenarios. Okay, guys, only high probability setups is what I'm interested in, right? Okay, so I'm going to be talking a little bit of, you know, what would be my trading plan if I do get to trade it later on, right? But I'm going to explain how the structure could develop in the next coming hours, right? There's several options. I don't know how the price is gonna move at the end of the day, but I know how it could move. I know how it could move. It could move like this, or it could move like that. If it moves like that, I would be interested in this. If it moves like this, I would be interested in that, right? Kind of thing, right? That's what we try and do, right? We try and, you know, develop what would be the next possible projections. Let's go. Andy, you're a magnificent Muppet. Have made amazing gains. Thank you. Thanks to your TA. Much love. And Noop, much love to you, brother. Much love. Somebody making insane gains, right? Looking at the projections, not becoming bearish, just being aware, okay? I mean, we haven't been talking anything bearish throughout this range of the last few days, even the last few weeks, right? Every consolidation looked bullish, regardless if you are a swing trader or a day trader. We've been looking at longing some really good levels of support in this range, understanding that higher is likely, and the same has been applied throughout this range. Just looking at the potential of the structure and realizing this could be the low right over here as well. This is when we were talking about the diamond pattern, and we were thinking about screw the diamond pattern. This is support. We're hitting the 7.8 Fibonacci, faking out from the value area low, and this did have a chance to be an impulsive move, right? Or at least a higher low here with a 7.8, realizing that, you know, this could be the moment where the price, you know, bounces back up, right? Same as the other day, right? We had this zone being very interesting for that recovery, really analyzing here the ABC running flat, right? As we were creating those lows, right? We were talking about that running flat just a few days ago, right? Yes, value area low. This could be interesting. We are looking for a 3-wave move. So at least get above this zone, regardless if we break through or not. If we break through the VWAP and point of control, we do expect continuation to the upside, but it could reject, right? We're always aware of the rejection of this zone, but we broke out, right? So if you're in a long position from lower, you definitely want to consider staying in that long and at least taking most of the profits right here at the highs, right? And then the latest one from yesterday, of course, still leaning on this zone, potentially being corrective, right? Another low would have been nice, but breaking out the trend. And throughout the last 24 hours, bang, we come up and we hit the highs. It's kind of very easy when you're uptrending, right? When you're uptrending, it's very, very easy, right? The trend is your friend, so eventually we're going to take out the highs. So that's the general idea. We take out the highs. We take out the highs every time, as long as the local price action does still look corrective, right? And the movements to the upside look very leading, right? Then eventually we do still expect higher. Sign of weakness would be pretty clear for me. You want to see a pretty strong move to the downside and a very weak bounce with decreasing volume. The moment you have this movement, wherever it is, at all-time high or missing all-time high, with an increased amount of volume, okay, with a big aggressive move down, high volume on your middle of that start of a downtrend, right? That is the moment where the bounce is going to be identified, right? Decreasing volume as the price reaches higher levels. You got a major move down with increased volume, and you have the bounce with decreased volume, and this will be the moment to really take that informed decision to get that drop, maybe to the low 100K levels, maybe below 100K, right? But we need that price action. Till we don't have that price action, then eventually claiming the highs and heading to all-time high is going to be the option, right? There's no more to it. So to try and catch some shorts here is a little bit difficult and speculative, okay? Overall, after this move, what we're looking at is the 50% to the 7-8 zone to be that resistance. We'll have to identify this movement as a correction, decreasing volume, to be confident that a leg to the downside here, potentially in a wave 3 or a wave C, it doesn't matter. You know, look for a 3-wave structure at a bare minimum, and that third wave to be pretty aggressive, right? Remember, when the price drops, it drops faster than it moves up, right? Stairs up, elevator down, as they say, on any asset on the world, right? When the drops come, they come very aggressively, and it would be nice to get into one of those drops, right? So for the moment, we don't have our first initial sign of weakness, which is that kind of structure that I've just explained. Any aggressive trader, scalper, right, such as 𝗬𝗍𝗍, right, talking about this naked point of control, which we did get a beautiful reaction, right? We did drop just over $1,000 from that naked point of control. This is for the degen traders, right? Just under $108,000. Anybody that wants to attempt this, they just need to have good risk management, right? You ain't adding to short positions. You ain't being hopeful for, you know, the reversal. You just need to manage risk. If you get the reaction, you reject from the naked point of control, you can have a small attempt for that short, right? And always put your stop loss above the high of the rejection, just knowing that if you do break out from that level, you don't know how high we can go, because there's not much levels, right? The next level is literally all-time high. So yeah, it's going to be quite interesting here how we develop. So what are the different structures? I did create a video update for anybody that doesn't want to watch these long live streams, very boring, just me talking, blah, 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 right? All through the comment section. I have that nice video update that I created a few hours ago, sorry, not a few days ago, that I do kind of explain a few of the different structures that could happen, right? But today on the live stream, we're going to go a little bit more in detail, right? Going through the Fibonacci extensions, expansions, right? Where could we hit, right? That's what we're going to do right away. And hello to everybody. Much love. I really want to go through comment section, but I feel like comment section, a lot of people are just going to be drained, right? Is saying, come on, man, can you give us some good information already with the TA? There's something that makes sense. I'll give you my opinion, of course. You might think it's BS. You might think it's BS, right? I'm only here to give the opinion, right? And possible projections of the price action that I believe, you know, with my knowledge that could happen, right? At the end of the day, we don't know what could happen, right? But we can kind of map the situation on a few scenarios. And that's why you are here, right? That's why you are here. Let's see how, you know, how Andy sees the market, right? Let's see how Andy gives his different projections. That's why I'm here, guys. Only 117 likes. I'll tell you what, we might do another giveaway, right? Because just 2 days ago, we did a giveaway. I did a live trading scalp, okay, which was from this breakout, okay? From this breakout, we were looking for that 3-wave structure and made $500 on that scalp. And I decided this is going to be for one of the viewers. So let's see if we can get to, I'm going to keep it difficult, right? There's only 600 people watching. But let's say 800 likes. I know I'm going to be trading. I'm going to be live for over an hour, maybe 800 likes with the new people coming in, new people going out. Maybe some people just join to smash up the like button and then they fuck off. Maybe that could, that, you know, maybe some people are doing that, but we can get to 800 likes, right? So let's go right away. Let's go and hit the like button. If we get to 800 likes, I'm giving another $500 for a lucky winner. Where's that guy though? He just took the money and he left. Well, it was Antonio Mining or something like that. Anthony Mining, there he is. He's here in the comment section. Antonio Mining, almost. I gave you a little bit of a Spanish name right there. Antonio Mining. Anthony Mining was the winner. Let me know, because I haven't got your Telegram or anything. Let me know if you received the funds. Let me know in the comment section. Antonio Mining, let me know. Hola Andy, thank you. You're very welcome, my man. So if we do get to 800 likes, we're just going to give the money, guys. Sharing is caring, right? And I share and care for my community, right? You give me likes, I will do a giveaway. $500. Come on, guys. You know, it ain't $10. It ain't $50. It's $500. Bang. Anthony Mining, let me know. Already liked. USDT received. Thank you. Hey, $500, man. Very lucky man. Very lucky man. Likes are going up. Yes, they are. So, yeah, I'm a man of word. Anthony can say, right? If we do get to 800 likes, this is going to, you know, it's time to give out to the community. Okay. Already made my bread on BTC long sweet. Absolute legend. Yeah, guys, the market is very bullish. Any pullbacks are kind of interesting to long. The first level of support, right? I would have preferred a little bit of a zigzaggy move here. Okay. I would have preferred a little bit of a zigzaggy move. Then there was some interesting longs. Okay. They were mentioned in the Legends trading community. However, the price just bounced at the previous day point of control. It's too bullish. The first level of support that Bitcoin is going to hit, it's going to get the bounce, guys. Come on. It's so bullish. Previous day point of control with that 50% Fibonacci from the latest higher low. That's it, right? If you want pullbacks to get into a long position, that was it, right? So yeah, Bitcoin is being a big ball at the moment. So we're going to be analyzing some different scenarios here on the stream, okay? Enough with the comment section. Hello, Patrick Mitch. Welcome to the community. Much love to everybody. Would love $500, says Darren. Well, if we do get to 800, right? I said 600 the other day. The live stream went up to above 700. So yeah, love Andy from Cambodia. Much love, Sean. How are you doing? I think markets will shock everyone under all-time high and a deep shock drop. Jason, this is the thing. That's what I believe. All-time highs incoming today, says Crypto Trader. Very possible. I do think that all-time high is either going to be front-runned, meaning that we do not manage to reach it and we get an epic drop, right? Well, epic drop, a $4,000 or $5,000 drop right now for Bitcoin wouldn't be much as it's been pumping so crazy, right, for the last few weeks. It's either front-runned or it's either absolutely destroyed, right? it's destroyed or it's front run. I do not see the all-time high as a swing failure pattern. It would be a pretty obvious trade, right? It would be such a pretty obvious trade. So yes, I do think, you know, if we do hit all-time high, I would see it going another $3,000-$4,000 maybe to the upside, and then maybe collapsing down very aggressively. But it's not going to be a level where you get a swing failure pattern, right? Easy peasy. We short the market, stop loss at the high, and then everybody's making profits, right? It would be a bit of a too obvious trade. And for me, it's either front running the all-time high, we don't hit it, and we maybe go to sub 100K, right? That would be a bit of a shock for a lot of the people, but the markets are here to shock us, right? It's like, oh, we missed all-time high by $1,000 and now we're down below 100K, right? Or we either move above it, have a fake out kind of attempt, but ultimately looking at the price to continue to the upside, right? I don't think it's going to be an easy short position. Lots of volatility in this range. And if we do hit all-time high, I think I would expect continuation to the upside, at least a few $1,000s, right? I don't think it's going to be an exact high pump above a few $100s, right? And then reject. It ain't going to be that easy in my opinion, right? So let's go through the structure of the market. What I like to see of this local price action. By the way, whoever jumped into a long position, keeping it simple, break of trend, okay, break of the downtrend of yesterday. Whoever jumped into a long position yesterday on the break of trend, congratulations, you made some pretty nice gains. We did pump a few $1,000s, right? Almost $3,000, actually above $3,000 from yesterday's range, right? Whoever got into the break of trend here of this downtrend of yesterday has made some bank here, looking for some new highs, right? Very, very nice indeed. Let me know in the comment section, did anybody jump into that long of the break of trend? Would be interesting to see if anybody jumped front run all-time high and down to 98K before we actually rocket, says Marco. That would actually, yeah, interesting scenario. Many things are happening to BTC in the world right now. TA is very hard to trust now. Well, the good thing about TA is that the trend is your friend and the movements to the downside and sideways momentums look very corrective. So we ultimately been very bullish still in this range and really analyzing the situation. We talked about a long position here on the stream on last Thursday. We talked about a long position here on the stream on Monday. Whoever got into that long also made some significant profits. And we also talked about the trend breakout, right? That would be, you know, yesterday was a little bit, we're downtrending. We don't know where the low is going to be. So why not wait for the trend breakout? And, you know, those were the options of the last few days. Those were the options. Of course, the latest one being this one from yesterday. Wait for the trend breakout. That would be our initial sign of strength, you know, to possibly finish this corrective momentum, which I had my doubts, I have to say. I had my doubts because it looked very five wavy. But ultimately, Bitcoin's bullish, right? So yeah, technical analysis can be very difficult, but you just need to realize one thing in technical analysis. The trend is your friend. And if the movements to the downside look very choppy and corrective with low volume, then, you know, the momentum is to the upside, right? The momentum is to continue up if you get that nice little squeeze range. This is why now we're going to talk about a few scenarios, right? A few different scenarios. Is there a possibility of forming a lower high right over here? Absolutely. Why? Because the price moved to the downside since the highs of this morning. Very one wavy, right? It's kind of very, very one wavy. Could we go up and smash the highs and go to all-time high? Yes. But the question is, can we reject from here? Would it make sense to reject from here? I would say yes. It seems like kind of pretty obvious that we're just going to claim those highs already, right? But if we were to roll over from here, what would be interesting here would be, all right, some higher low formations, right? You would be interested in a higher low, right? Market is too bullish. We're heading up to all-time high. We might just claim the high. So maybe this is not something that's going to happen. Obviously, I'm not saying to short here, but it would be interesting if we were to reject from this point and claim the lows of today, right? We've got some higher lows for kind of a liquidity grab for all of those people that are longing late or just longing. Of course, it can play out, but it would be kind of nice to get that dip down. And do we have any good, interesting support levels in this zone, right? Can we form another higher low? And if we form a lower high here, it would make sense for the price, to identify this as a correction, right? You're forming your wedgie structure, and then, let's just get on with it and go to all-time high. This is a corrective move like we've been forming throughout the last few days. Then it's going to be an interesting scenario, right? I don't know if we're going to come down there, but I do realize that we would be moving down in a three-wave move. There is some very interesting support beneath the higher lows of today. Which ones? We do have a daily level, a fresh daily level, right? When we go to the daily chart and we see the daily candlesticks, we can see that daily close and open of yesterday, right? Which is very, very interesting. We know that daily levels, right? We can see that wick getting beneath the daily, getting back above it. So, this daily level is going to be a little bit of a guideline, okay? If we do get that movement down, possibly not. I don't know. If we do get it down, that's where I become interested on the reaction, and I would be expecting some price action that I'm going to explain right away, right? So if the price were to move down from here, then we got that daily level, but most importantly as well, we do have the golden pocket from the pivot low here of yesterday, the pivot higher low, to that pivot high of today, early this morning. And hear me out here, okay? We're going to talk about the scenario of just breaking out, right? Where the price could get that resistance, okay? Because it might just break out. The price is just so bullish. And I'm talking about, rejections. It's like, bro, the market's so bullish. What the heck are you talking about? Another low. It's just if the price were to form another lower high here, then it would be an interesting scenario, right? You do have the golden pocket from the latest move to the upside. And you do have a possible three-wave move. You got a strong daily level and the golden pocket together. And that's kind of interesting. Interesting zone, realizing that the market is still very uptrending, okay? So the trend is your friend. There are a few scenarios that could play out here. The most bullish one would be a multiple 1-2 setup, right? Which is you're just moving in another higher low right over here. And then you get the third wave, which is breaking out, maybe hitting all-time high, maybe not, okay? But ultimately, it would be an interesting scenario to just look at this, right? The biggest level of support is sitting here at 105,500. Daily level, 618 Fibonacci, golden pocket right from this movement. And a double 1-2 would be a possibility. Maybe your second wave is finished here, right? Maybe your second wave of the double 1-2, it would actually make a little bit more sense because your second 1-2, preferably it is a little bit shorter in price action and in timing as well, right? That wave 2 here is a little bit more shallow than this one. Kind of looks interesting, guys. We could be on the formation of that double 1-2 right now if we do break through. So if we do break the highs here, depending on how we move, it's either going to smash out and we are on the formation of our wave 3. Okay, it just explodes out, gets to all-time high already. Maybe not, maybe misses it. But ultimately, if we do go to higher levels, then eventually I would expect all-time high and, chopping and even continuing this momentum to the upside. Just a very, very strong uptrend. So that is one scenario. Maybe we're looking for that wave 3 if we break successfully from the highs of today, early this morning. It could blast off. Is there an option of the price rejecting here, double top, and we get a larger pullback? Absolutely. That other option would be that contracting diagonal. I did see 𝗬𝗍𝗍𝗽 talking about this as well. Very possible scenario. Now, what is important about a contracting diagonal, how you want to identify if it is going to be a contracting diagonal? Well, you do not want the next wave to be larger than your third wave, right? If we get the length of the third wave and we go from the low here, well, of course, a contracting diagonal can break out that resistance, right? The higher resistance, that is totally fine. But ultimately, you know, if you do reject, get back inside it, then you can start thinking, maybe this was it. Maybe this was it. And if you do form a ascending contracting diagonal here, when we understand that we had the ABC running flat, okay, I think I have it somewhere here. If not, we'll just put it on the chart right away, right? The running flat situation that we mentioned throughout the last few days, really looking at that low, right, to potentially be the bottom, right? It was definitely a scenario. We did talk about also the other scenario, which was actually coming down here. But as we were holding the value area low of this range and the price is just so bullish, yeah, maybe we actually hold here and we rally to the upside, right? That's when we were talking about this scenario right here, right? This could be the low, guys, and we're just gonna start rallying, which is what happened in the end, right? After that trend breakout and breaking out the point of control and the VWAP. So breaking that VWAP and point of control was definitely the sign of strength to say it's gonna go up, guys. It's just like very likely gonna go up, which it did. So having that low as the running flat was the option. So this is what would be very interesting if the price breaks the local highs and it front runs all-time high. And hear me out, because this is the moment where it's going to be looking extremely interesting for a short position. And you might think this guy's a madman. We are going to hit all-time high and we're going to smash it. Bitcoin's going to go to $1 million. And you're talking about short positions. You're out of your mind. I'm going to explain what we need to see here to identify that this is the end of a possible structure, because it would be extremely risky to short the rejection, right? Or try and, you know, speculate that this is going to be a contracting diagonal. What is more likely instead of a contracting diagonal is a multiple 1-2 setup, which is 1-2, 1-2, and you can form another 1-2 here, and then you just explode in your wave 3. So we are going to give a little bit of priority to the multiple 1-2 setup, just because it's more common, especially in a bullish environment, than a contracting diagonal, which is not that common of a pattern, right? But I will know if it is going to be a high, if it is going to be a contracting diagonal, which it fails. And how will I know that? Well, I need the next information, which is what I explained throughout the beginning of the stream. If we reject before hitting all-time high in a 5-wave move, because we identified this as the potential of being a running flat. This is the end of the correction here. And now we have a new wave formation to the upside. So when could this wave finish? I don't know, right? But I know some scenarios that could happen, right? This was the low, and congratulations whoever got into that long on Monday or got into the long yesterday, right? It doesn't matter which one, right? We ultimately were looking for higher levels, understanding that this is a poor high, right? This high that we created on early Monday or Sunday, right? Depending on where you are, it was a poor high, right? And I know a lot of people were already speculating on that Bart-Simpson pattern, right? We're forming a Bart-Simpson pattern. It is a double top, and I love double tops and I love double bottoms, right? The more bottoms we have, right, the better, right? I love bottoms, right? Double bottoms, whatever, triple bottoms, right? It doesn't matter. They're all good. And double tops as well. It did double top. We did create a massive wick, a big rejection. And, you know, there was a moment of fear here of saying, yeah, this could be it actually, right? Price exhaustion, double top, massive rally, choppiness. We wicked above the high. This is classic, right? We should be getting that pullback. But throughout the last few days, we were like, hang on a minute, guys, because this might be a running flat. And we actually going to recover from these lows, especially if we break that VWAP, right? And head up to new highs. Forget the Bart-Simpson pattern. Forget the double top. It looks bullish. The movement up, you know, and it was very, 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 very important to identify the movement to the upside here, right? When we finish a structure, and this is why it's getting very interesting here for the front run or the hit of all-time high, it doesn't matter. Looking at this local structure, this is where it's getting very interesting at the moment. Very, very interesting, where the price could top out, guys. We're going to give it a chance for the price to top out maybe very soon, regardless if it's front running all-time high or if it's getting above all-time high. This could be it for the local top and then finally come down, you know, preferably to these higher lows, round about 100K, maybe sub 100K, right? The low 100K levels, maybe even beneath it. Maybe this is the structure that we are looking for, because it overall was not this one. We've been bullish throughout the last week, right? We've been saying, you know, the highs are going to be claimed. The highs are going to be claimed, right? But especially with this new formation as well. I had my doubts here. I did say I'm going to give it a chance. We talked about a short position here at the 7/8 Fibonacci, but then all of this was very corrective. So it's like we talked about the long, right? We talked about the short here, but we talked about the long here. Just understanding this local structure to the downside looks very corrective. So higher probability, right, that we could get that bounce from here, which we did. And especially after creating this high, I'm like, hang on a minute. This movement up, you know, there's no bullish move, right? There was an expanding diagonal here, which looks awful, right? And expanding diagonals, you're going to see them twice in a year. They're very, very rare waves, right? That, you know, rare patterns that you do see. You're going to see it twice a year, maybe 4 or 5 times on lower time frames, but they're just rare. You just don't take them into consideration. And if you have something else, which was eventually the zigzag here, you know, running flat, you are always going to, you know, prefer a running flat, even though it's the rarest flat, instead of an expanding diagonal for this to be the end of the wave 5, right? So we're still leaning bullish in this zone. And now it's where it becomes very interesting, because at the end of this movement, now we have new information. And with this new information, we're analyzing very carefully this structure. And there's only a few options. There's only a few options here, right? There's only a few options. There is the extreme bullish option, which is, you know, the price is just ripping here. You started a new structure after finishing this sideways momentum, which is the end of a wave, right? That's what I would be leaning on for the moment with this information, right? Could we be forming a larger correction throughout the next coming days? Well, we're going to have to identify that movement later on, right? But for the moment, we are leaning with it's bullish. It's a new wave structure after this consolidation. It's uptrending. It's pretty damn bullish for the moment. What options do we have? Right? The most bullish option, this is just a multiple 1-2. And we are going to get, you know, mind blown here. Our socks are going to get blown off because the third wave hasn't still formed on this structure. You got a multiple 1-2 and the price is just going to rip to hit all-time high in that third wave. Consolidation, it might look like a swing failure pattern. You're finishing the higher time frame third wave, right? Which would be all of this momentum. And then you get a larger pullback. It looks like a fake out. Then you form another high for that fifth wave, right? It's going to be overall uptrending if we just break out from the recent highs, right? Trying to identify here the highs for a short. Whoever's trying to short this market right now is just like, you know, it's suicidal, right? It's suicidal. The market is very, very bullish. Okay, so no shorts to be taken. If you shorting, take it as a scalp at very specific levels. I don't like the double top. There's no way in a million years I would want to get into this double top. Why? Because it's just, the structure is so bullish and I'm very much aware of the price breaking out. So for me to get into a short position, I need the price action to drop down very impulsively with high volume. And then we can start thinking of, hey guys, you know, maybe this is the start of a downtrend, right? But ultimately trying to time the top right now in an uptrend, it's suicidal, guys. I've done it before many years ago and it's not worth it, right? you have higher probability in losing your money fast, right? Than actually, remaining patient, seeing a bit of the structure develop, and just getting into high probability trading setups, right? Like the one here yesterday, right? Just wait for the trend break, right? We don't know where the low, which level of support is going to hold. Will it be the previous week open? Will it be the point of control of the range? Let's just wait for the trend breakout, right? If the market is bullish, we just don't know where the low is going to be. Break of trend, right? You get into a good trade. That's it. Easy peasy, right? So remaining patient here for a little bit more information is the key scenario, right? So yeah, we're struggling. Well, we're getting a little bit of reaction here at the 7/8 Fibonacci. 7/8, I think the 0.88 has not been hit. 0.88 has not been hit. If the 0.88 would have been hit, it would have been better to see this as a corrective structure to finally take out the high. But we did hit the 7/8 only. So let's talk about the different scenarios. Okay, so this is one of them. If the price breaks out from the highs of yesterday, early this morning, I would not be interested in shorting, right? I just would not be interested in shorting eventually if you break out successfully. We don't have much levels, right? All-time high is next. Could it front run the level? Absolutely yes, okay? Because we do have this contracting diagonal idea, right? This is very much a possibility. However, I'm not here to get into the short. I would rather look for the longs. I've explained the long position as well. We're going to go through the long, okay? We want a long in from lower levels, guys. We don't want a long up here, right? Whoever's long in here, FOMOing in, you have the danger of price moving down here, and we don't know if it's going to break down. So, yeah, rejecting right now, forming a lower high. If the price were to move up here from this higher low, well, we could miss all-time high. And even though the price breaks out from this ascending contracting diagonal resistance, even though it breaks out, okay, it's still a possible contracting diagonal if the price is not as long as the third wave. The moment it is longer than the third wave, then what you're looking at very likely is that double 1-2 setup, right? Which is this one right over here, where you're just exploding out and just correction, higher levels, correction, higher levels. So how can I short this, right? How can I get into the short? We'll be talking about the longs right now, just because of the order right now. We're just giving the shorting options. So, and they're not easy, guys. There's not an easy short for the moment. We need a little bit of, market structure change, right? Big volume on the breakdown. But this is where I want to get to, right? I want to get into that scenario where the price manages to break the recent highs of early this morning. From the end of the correction, we're still leaning on the running flat situation, okay? So that's the information that we have. We move up, bang, 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 bang. We have an attempt in heading to all-time high, and we front run all-time high, getting a drop. Now, this is what I would want to see on the volume. The first rejection, I do not know if this is going to be a contracting diagonal. I don't know if it's going to be a third wave. I don't know. As I don't know, and I don't have a plan here for this short to try and detect the top. Look at me, I shorted the top. Well, you don't want to be that guy, right? I need the first major move to the downside that is aggressive and ferocious, with increased volume on the first initial drop. People will still be bullish, even though if the market gets this kind of a rejection in a 5-wave structure, many will not manage to identify it and will just see it as a pullback. And of course, every single pullback that Bitcoin has formed in the last few weeks have been great buying opportunities, regardless for swing longs or, or buying Bitcoin, right? If you on spot, if you wish, right? You're not going to get much on spot, basically, if you're buying here and selling after $2,000 pump. Better for trading eventually, but a lot of people will see this as an opportunity, and the price will very likely start bouncing. If you have an increase amount of volume and a very strong, ferocious move, preferably not like this, because this was very straight. And obviously we were considering the flat scenario, right? We didn't like that high, how we moved and created this high. Any movement down from here was like, yeah, this is very likely going to be a flat. We want to see, you know, something similar, but not, you know, preferably the structure is a little bit more, you can identify it a little bit more. Some stops here, so we can have our wave 2s and our wave 4s. Increased volume in the middle, right? It's never going to be perfect, guys, but something similar to this. Increased volume on the rejection with a pretty aggressive move of a few $1,000s is going to be the moment that I'm going to say, now it's where it's starting to be interesting to look for short positions. The price is too bullish. Unless you're snipering a naked point of control like Devil mentioned today in the Legend, which was pretty much, you know, a quite aggressive move. You know, it's dangerous to short, guys, this market, right? Unless you're a scalper and you know exactly where you're jumping into the short position. And this is a bit of higher time frame scenarios. So I want to see the first move down with high volume. Big move down, give or take, $2,000-$3,000, bit aggressive, right? On the 5 minute, and see an increased amount of volume on a 5-wave structure. There will be some kind of a bounce because a lot of people would be interested in buying that movement down that has aggressive volume. There's gonna be a moment that this happens, regardless if it's above all-time high or not, where you're gonna see a lot of whales either shorting or unloading their Bitcoin spot bags, right? Both scenarios, shorting and unloading. And we're gonna see this on the volume. Preferably you use an exchange that is, you know, where whales do trade, right? Such as Bybit, Binance. You can even use Coinbase Spot, right? Which is the biggest exchange in US, where volume increases very aggressively to the downside. And that's the moment where you realize that this could be the start, right? Of the larger correction or a larger drop, right? So that's what we need to see here. If we want to be interested in the shorts for the moment, higher we go. Higher we go, in all-time high we go, right? You know, but this is what we would want to try and identify. And this structure right now could maybe give us this option, because we do have, from the end of this corrective move that we did point out, it was definitely an option, right? A few days ago, guys, this could be the low. We identifying this as the end of a corrective structure very likely, and we could get that momentum up. We're getting that momentum up, and we're identifying these waves. This is the moment that we want to be, you know, saying the market, unless it is going to be an extreme bullish case scenario, which is that multiple 1-2, and we just blast off in a third wave here, guys, and we go to higher levels, and it's just 4-5, 4-5. We get to all-time high. We just continue going up, right? So let it go. Let it go. We just go up. We just go up. Anybody that's wanting to short, right, in this case. We're going to talk about the long setups right now. I mean, today's long setup was, you know, we did bounce out the support, previous day point of control. That would have been the aggressive long, okay? Did a bit of a fast move down. It might roll over. We might claim the lows. We're going to talk about the long setup right now, but we might just go up and up here, guys, right? We did bounce. We're just moving up. So it's kind of late for longs right now at the highs. You know, this is not a zone that I would be interested in longing eventually. So this is what we want to see, right? If this is going to be an ascending contracting diagonal, which is forming those 5 waves to the upside, right? We want to see that 5th wave not reach all-time high, which is very possible. You're front-running all-time high. It's like the last line in the sand, right? All-time high, here we go. And then you drop a few $1,000s and you move very impulsively. And then you start gaining a new structure here to the upside to then maybe head to all-time high. But if we were to get this drop, I would be very interested in analyzing how we're moving up here if we have decreasing volume from the drop on the bounce it's going to be a moment of maybe back testing today's highs, right? Or the highs that we do create. It's going to be very interesting, right? Just to even consider the short position, okay? To even start considering the short. If you want to try and be a genius and try and detect the top, you can get burnt, right? I've been through that story. You know, I ain't going back. So that's what I would want to see, okay? Just keeping it clear here on the sign of weakness. Market is extremely bullish. There's no one's going to stop this train, and especially us little fish trying to short the market here with a few $100,000 positions, right? Or even a couple of $1 million of positions of volume. You ain't gonna move the market, right? So that is one scenario here, legends. We want that rejection. We want that sign of weakness. Ascending contracting diagonal is an option. We're going to give a little bit of priority to the extreme bull case scenario, which is the multiple 1-2 setup, where we could be blasting off here, guys. Maybe today. Somebody said all-time high today. No trading opportunities at the moment for me here, but we can. Well, I just explained one where if we do reject with high volume, the bounce will be interesting, right? To get that leg down, to revisit the lows and potentially break down, right? This would be the level of interest. 50% to the 7/8 Fibonacci. You want that low volume, 3-wave structure. You want first a big drop with high volume, right? To identify the first initial signs of weakness, to then start thinking of shorts. Right? Not jumping in a short, start thinking of shorts. So long position, apparently we're pumping right now. We don't want a long just at today's highs, right? Even though it might play out, right? Maybe some of you degens want to jump into a long right now because you're very confident that we are going to be in that formation of the wave 3 and we're going to absolutely rip. But for me, there's no longs at the moment here. This was a cheeky attempt. Price moved down very aggressively. It would have been nice to form a little bit of a zigzag here. Then I would have attempted a long potentially at the daily or the break of trend, right? Just for an easier trade, right? A little bit more confident, more confirmation. But the long trade today would have been that previous day point of control, right? Previous day point of control that actually bounced very, very nicely with the 50%. Bit aggressive for my style, just because we moved down we were holding and trading here for a couple of hours. So it was holding nicely. But previous day point of control was the option here. Stop loss beneath a low. There's no more to it here. If we have a miracle right now and we do reject without claiming the high, or it's going to be a little bit difficult because we always need to consider the ABC flat. What if we do double top from here? Would I consider the flat? Would I consider an ABC flat? I would consider it, okay? I would consider it if we just take out today's highs. However, I would also consider the ascending contracting diagonal, okay? So it's not going to be an easy one. If this were to be an ascending contracting diagonal, right? And you finish your 5th wave here and it just double tops and you get a massive pullback down to the lows, there's going to be a little bit of doubts here to get into a long. Just realizing that if this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what could happen here is that, yeah, you get the first leg down, but then you bounce and then you continue to the downside, right? In such a bullish market, you would assume that it's going to bounce back up, right? It's Bitcoin. We haven't hit all-time high. So we can consider the flat because, the interesting thing about an ABC flat is that you do form a 5-wave move down in your C wave. So it's going to be like, isn't this the moment for the price to start rejecting, right? This isn't the start of weakness. And that is what is confusing about the ABC flat, right? Because you might think it's start of an impulse down, but a C wave of a flat needs 5 waves. So it's going to be interesting. But regardless, if we do take out the highs, I wouldn't be interested in this double top. If we do take out the highs and we moved down very aggressively here, our first big major level is going to be the daily, the previous day value area low, okay? Previous day value area low, which is sitting where we have the daily, slightly above the daily when we get previous day value levels, okay? And it's very common if you lose previous day value area high again, that you could dip down to the previous day value area low. We need to consider the flats, okay? This is without a doubt a level where the price has high probability in bouncing. High probability in bouncing at the daily, the previous day value area low, and the golden pocket from the lows to the highs. Okay, there's a lot of confluence here. A lot of confluence exactly at $105,500. So this could be a pretty aggressive attempt to get into a long if we were to drop down there after a potential double top. I would not short this, guys. Market's very bullish. But if we do create that movement down, you know, we eventually interested in longs on these pullbacks, right? We were uptrending still till proven otherwise. So hitting the golden pocket, daily level, previous day value area low is one of the strongest supports that we do have in this momentum that we've had the last few days. So that would be the first, you know, initial level of support if we were to double top here to really speculate on another long, right? Because the retracements do happen, and preferably you want them at good support levels to attempt that long. And just to add something, you eventually want to get your Fibonacci extension tool, and I would be pretty sure that this would be round about the 1.618 extension. Yeah, depending on if we do create a high in this region, the 1.618 extension is sitting at these lows, right? Daily, value area low, golden pocket, most common flat, 1.618 extension, expanding flat target. So yeah, this would be the zone. This would be the zone to attempt a long position. If we get a bit of proof of support, even better. You know, stop loss should remain at the lows. The question is, if you move down here very aggressively, is will it be an ABC flat and move to the upside, or will it be the high of the contracting diagonal, right? Oh my goodness, the chart looks like a big fat mess, guys. I'm sorry about that. There's lots of drawings here. So, you know, this would be the scenario if we were to double top, which it doesn't look like for the moment. It doesn't want to do that. It's just going higher and higher. But it's just some scenarios that we want to point out just in case it does reject, right? I don't know if it's going to reject. For the moment, market's too bullish. But if it were to reject, this would be the most interesting zone, 105,500 for that ABC flat. 1.618 extension is sitting exactly, right, or slightly below, depending on where that high is, at the previous day value area high, previous day value area low right over here, and the daily level and the golden pocket from the recent higher low to the high. Too much. You know, this might not even play out and we just continue rallying, which is looks like what we're doing, okay? Whoever got into a long position here, well done, guys. Whoever got into this pullback, just DJing in here. We did get support from previous day point of control. Whoever got into a long right now, it is pumping over $2,000. So, yeah, congratulations, whoever got into a long here today. I'm still holding a long from lower, actually. Still holding a long from lower. And I did take most of the profits on this long because, you know, overall, I was happy with the highs. Anybody that is interested in trading, guys, make sure to check out the exchanges down below, okay? We've got multiple exchanges, of course, ones that I use. Weeks has a great bonus, okay? They have 20% deposit bonus, unlock 30,000 US dollar tether, right? The more trading volume you move, you're going to get airdrops to increase your capital. and 25% fee reduction. What is very good also on Bluffin is that you get $300 just with a $2,000 deposit. Bluffin is a very well-known exchange now. It is growing very, very fast. Okay, you got the top links down below in the description. Weeks, you can unlock 20% deposit bonus, $30,000 worth of bonuses as well. The more volume you move, you get 25% fee reduction, okay, on your trades when you sign up with the first link down below, guys. Bluffin is also a great alternative, all right? They both just require an email and a password. Just with an email and a password, no VPN, and you are in, guys, trading the market. So Bitcoin, absolutely ripping. We're going to have to lean with the most bullish case scenario. We might be hitting all-time high, legends. We're going to have to lean as we are breaking up the daily open, the value area high of yesterday. We're breaking out from the highs of today, and we don't have much resistance, and it just looks like that we are mooning right now. So let it moon. Let it moon. You know, the most bullish case scenario is that we do just form maybe a massive third wave here. There is that option. Maybe we're going to hit the all-time high live if this is a third wave of a multiple 1-2, then it's probably time today. Somebody was pointing out that today was the day of all-time high. And I mean, whoever got into long positions, regardless if it was here or here or here, right? We had too many long positions throughout the last few days. You're holding some of the position, you're making some pretty nice profits, right? Shorts were not an option, guys. There was no options for shorts throughout the last few days. It was just looking for longs, longs, and longs, especially identifying this structure, right? Lately in the last few days, it was just long, long, and long, guys. So whoever's been longing is making some pretty nice profits. Congratulations. Market's just too bullish, guys. All-time high it is. I regret selling some of my Bitcoin here last week. Only joking, guys. You know, I've been in profits for a long time right now with my spot bags, and it's about time. You know, I don't want to be that, you know, that guy that holds the profits down, and when the market moves down, it moves down quickly. Obviously, I've only sold 15% of my Bitcoin holdings. 15%. Okay. So, you know, it's still got quite a lot to unload. So if we do go to higher levels, you know, eventually I would be very happy. But I'm not sure if anybody who's a legit follower here, we're just about to get to all-time high here, legends. We're just $1,500 away from all-time high. But whoever doesn't know my story, any new subscribers, you can watch it on the channel, actually. You know, I was already doing YouTube here back in 2020. In 2021, you know, I said to the people, and there is a live somewhere. Let's see if I can find that live stream, okay? I was saying, guys, I am selling 25%. I was already 3 years in crypto, accumulating Bitcoin. And on a live stream, somewhere in this zone, I officially stated, okay, just before the major drop, somewhere in this range. I'll try and look for that live stream just because, you know, just for, you know, it's pretty nice. It's part of the channel, part of the story. I am selling 25% of my entire crypto portfolio, except for Chainlink. And I'll find that live stream, guys, just for entertainment, right? And you know, I regretted not selling more once we got this drop. But you need to sell something, right? I had to sell something. I mean, this was looking extremely choppy. We did break structure. It did look like a very, you know, this was a distribution event, basically, right? Volume was decreasing. Volume was increasing on the movements down. And we broke this structure here with this movement. And that was the moment on the bounce that I said, I'm getting out. It's kind of the rally. You know, when you take a look at the cheat sheet, it's pretty insane. It's pretty insane. When you take a look at the, you know, complacency, right? We just need to cool off for the next rally. This, you know, it seemed like it was this moment. It seemed like that bounce in 2021 was this moment, because the drop that we had kind of broke a little bit of structure. We had a pretty clear Wyckoff distribution pattern, okay? When you do take a look at this movement, right, and you have your first initial break of structure, you have 3 peaks here, 3 peaks, decreasing uptrend momentum and volume. And let the price go, guys. Price is going to all-time high, right? There's not much to see about Bitcoin right now. Let's just let it go. We're probably in a third wave at the moment, so there's nothing really to talk about on Bitcoin. We're just moving up till we get the rejection, right? When we take a look at Wyckoff accumulation and distribution, this was very, very, very interesting, right? This is something that also was talked about. Many people were talking about this scenario as well. And then eventually we got that kind of breakdown, right? You have 3 peaks right over there. It was pretty, you know, and this was my first crypto bull run. But on the charts, it was so obvious after such a major rally. I was thinking, my goodness, I'm insane in profits. I need to get out because this is getting choppy. Of course, some altcoins did rally much better in October and November, but I was already very happy with the profits. And, you know, I'm still holding 75% of that bag, but obviously even buying more, right? Buying more Bitcoins, especially throughout this downtrend, very aggressively, very, very aggressively, just realizing the future potential, right? And right now it seems kind of, you know, kind of the right moment to unlock a little bit, right? So yeah, just a little bit. Of course, the market is very, very bullish. There's no sign of weakness. I just want to, you know, have a little bit of cash, guys. You know, I've been almost all in on Bitcoin and crypto, and I need to have some cash, guys. You know, it's been too long right now being all in on Bitcoin and crypto. So it just makes sense for me personally to sell some Bitcoin, right? It's just not. It's sensible. Let's say that it's sensible. There's no sign of weakness. The market is absolutely flying. And yeah, we're just going to zoom in on the lower time frame, guys, because it does look like their all-time high is going to be on the way. We are trading. We are live on the all-time high. And right now, it just does look like that it's going to smash through. Looking at this structure, holy moly. Holy moly macaroni. Here it is, guys. It's coming. The multiple 1-2 setup seems like, for the moment, unless we front run it and we reject it, okay, is going to be what we're looking at right now. Is the multiple 1-2 setup seems like is what is on the formation after that ABC running flat. It could still be the contracting diagonal. We're breaking up that resistance. As long as this 5th wave is not longer than the 3rd wave, this is still an ascending contracting diagonal, right? Possibility. I'm not saying that it is. And if it rejects from here very aggressively, the bounce will be interesting, okay? We're going to take a look at the flat targets right now because we have overextended a little bit here. There's no quick shorts, guys, and there's no longs, okay? The market right now needs to have, we need a bit more information. Whoever longed down here today at the previous day point of control, congratulations. Whoever's been long in the last few days and maintained some of that long position, congratulations, right? Let's talk about the flat possibility here because I think we overextended the 1236138 zone. Oof, almost hitting the 1.618. So a flat could still be a scenario, right? If we move down very aggressively to sweep up the lows, the longs are still valid, okay? Even though you would be breaking a bit of uptrend, I think lots of people would not be too confident if we were to move down aggressively to 105,500. But the ABC flat is still a possible option for a multiple 1-2 still. right? It does look like that the price is just in a wave 3 at the moment. So it's looking very, very bullish. It is looking bullish, guys. No sign of weakness. It is smashing out the highs of today. And it just seems like that new all-time highs is possibly an option today, right? We are just $1,000 away. And it does look like that third wave, okay, could be on the formation. No signs of weakness whatsoever. Market structure is bullish. Here we go, guys. Whoever's been getting into some longs the last few days, you know, wherever it is, it doesn't really matter. Maybe you're still holding along from here. Maybe you're in a long from here. Maybe also, like me, you're still in a long from here in this zone right over here. So whoever's been getting into longs, regardless if it was yesterday or 2 days ago or yesterday's scenario, break of trend, downtrend, right? Or the one that we mentioned a few days ago, right? Then absolutely phenomenal, guys. You are holding on here with some pretty nice profits from these intraday long positions that we mentioned throughout the last few days. Remember, guys, weeks, great option for trading. Just an email and a password is needed. You can unlock many different bonuses, okay? 20% deposit, $2,000 if you move 5 million in volume, up to $30,000 in airdrops, right? The more you trade, 25% fee reduction with the first link down below, guys. First link down below, you can trade Bitcoin and hundreds of altcoins, either on Wix or Bluffin, okay? Bluffin also has that 300 deposit bonus just by depositing $2,000, right? Check out here the bonuses, and you just need an email and a password. Who's long? Who's looking for all-time high? It's going to happen on the live stream, legends. Lost 26, now making $90. I think, you know, FOMOing into longs is kind of the option, right? Let's go. Longing from lower and holding some of that long is... I'm going to hold... I was going to say I'm going to lock those 2K profits from that long position from a few days ago, but I'm going to leave it open because there's no sign of weakness just yet, right? And the possibility here of the third wave, fourth wave. Let's get the measured move here from this. Yeah, what we want to see right now is continuation to the upside so we can invalidate this ascending contract where it's literally at all-time high. If we hit all-time high, we invalidate the ascending contract in diagonal, and we are left with the extreme bullish case, right? Which is the multiple 1-2 and third wave. If we get to all-time high, which it does look like it's going to happen, no signs of weakness. We haven't got really much resistance. There might be a level here, but yeah, we're literally just at all-time high. Yeah, there might be a slight high volume node. We've only got a few hours of price traded at this zone. You know, we've got about, you know, just a few hours traded in this area. So there's really not that much resistance. So all-time high is definitely the possibility right now. Here we go. We need to break this length. The length of this wave needs to be broken so we can confirm that we are very likely going to go to higher levels, legends. All right? Holy moly. New all-time highs. Live on stream. What a moment, guys, to be in, right? Absolutely wonderful. Whoever's been buying Bitcoin throughout the last few years, guys, is in very much decent profits, right? I know altcoins are not doing that great. I mean, what are the altcoins doing? What's NASDAQ doing? NASDAQ stock market is pumping quite nicely. Ethereum still in the range, not doing much. I mean, the Bitcoin dominance might be flying. It's Bitcoin season, without a doubt. Holy moly, Bitcoin dominance. Here we go. Bitcoin dominance getting the rally, sucking the money of the altcoins, guys. I want to see how Chainlink is doing. because that's where I have a significant bag. It's probably not doing anything. Yeah, it's not doing anything. Yeah, altcoin season will come, right? Altcoin season will come. It's inevitable. It's just Bitcoin season right now. So hold on to your altcoin bags, guys. It's not a moment right now to sell your altcoins to buy Bitcoin. It's actually a moment to start thinking selling some of your Bitcoin to get into some altcoins for the altcoin season in the next coming months, regardless if it's next month or if it's in 3 months. It doesn't matter. It's going to happen, right? We always get an altcoin season, guys. It's always happening, right? This moves in cycles. We are at Bitcoin season right now. Altcoin season could be in 2 weeks. It could be in 2 months. You want to be positioned before we get the pumps, right? The latest pump here in November. Who remembers November? I actually managed to profit a little bit in November on some altcoins, Constellation DAG being the best option here. The best option, the best example, which is Constellation DAG is doing okay. We got a breakout here, retracement bouncing here. Constellation was a nice bag that I bought. I did buy a bit more Constellation the last few days. DAG, okay, made in US, DAG technology, Ministry of Defense uses Constellation DAG network, right? They are, testing it out. I wouldn't say it's their main network, but overall, just interesting that the Ministry of Defense of the US is actually dabbling into DAG network, right? But this was a pretty good obvious play. Big pump, big correction. This is the moment where you want to start DCAing, guys, because we are going to make money in the next coming months. I'm saying we, but no financial advice. I did buy a bit of Constellation DAG. I did buy a bit of Fowler Network. This is another one that I do see performing very, very well. This one's in AI. It's an Oracle. I'm not sponsored by any of these ones, but it's just some that I want in my portfolio. And this is the moment you want to get in. This right over here, this pump over here in November, December was when we had this spike in altcoin season, right? Right over here. This was it. This was it. When it's Bitcoin season, nobody wants, nobody's usually interested in altcoins, right? Altcoins are a scam. Altcoins are bad performing. When altcoin season, this cycle is different. It's going to happen, guys. You need to be positioned. Regardless if it's going to be in a month or 3 months or 6 months, who cares? It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And a lot of the altcoins are, haven't still rallied. Look at this. This is insane. And when this goes, it's going to do a 4-5x, right? And you can buy any, maybe you're interested more in 𝗵𝗵𝗴 or Dogecoin, right? Maybe you're interested more in these meme coins. 𝗵𝗵𝗴, without a doubt, is going to do well. But I think 𝗵𝗵𝗴 pumped up quite a lot already, right? 𝗵𝗵𝗴 pumped a lot already throughout the last few weeks. Well, just over 150%, right? Not massively just yet. Could you do a 4-5x on 𝗵𝗵𝗴? Yeah, possibly. It's already a high market cap. But I know, which ones I have high probability in doing at least a 5x. At least a 5x. Could it be a 10, 15x? Very possible, right? Very, very possible on what is to come. And I don't want to buy anywhere in this area. I don't want to buy anywhere in this area. I want to be positioned already at the base. I want to be positioned at the base already, guys. You know the deal, right? We've been going through this for many years already. And I feel sorry for anybody that really jumped in on Chainlink because the gains are just a 2.5x. The only moment that I said, guys, this is a great moment to buy, right? No financial advice. I never say to buy anything really. I'm just saying, this was another option to buy right there. But none of this pumps to buy in, guys. Chainlink, I wouldn't say buy now. Obviously, I do see it going to higher levels, but this was the moment. This was back in 2022 and part of 2023. This is where I accumulated most of my Chainlink because the amount of Chainlink that I bought in 2019 was not even a quarter of the amount that I bought here. So it's still in profit. It just hasn't performed as good as Bitcoin. You know, you might think altcoins should make you bigger gains, but I actually made more money holding Bitcoin than actually Chainlink or Ethereum, right? For the moment. Will that change? Well, maybe yes, but you know, with Bitcoin on average, it's been a 4-5x for the moment. Chainlink has been a 2-3x on average. So anyway, just a little story that I wanted to add there. Let's go. How many likes do we have? The like button, like I said, guys, today is an important day because if we get to 800 likes, I'm going to be giving $500 to a lucky winner. Let's see if we get to 800 likes, legends. 800 likes, and we're giving $500 just like we did the other day to Anthony Mining, which should be around in the comment section here somewhere. He received $500 just a couple of days ago. Mark Dutch, my man, how are you doing, brother? Much love to you. Let's go. Let's go. Absolute legend. 𝗬𝗫, all-time high. Come on, let's go. We are heading to all-time high. Are we going to front run all-time high? Let me just create another poll. Regarding the trading setups here, legends, we don't have much resistance. Resistance is all-time high. We realize about the contracting diagonal that does not have to get to all-time high because that would be an invalidation. Then we're looking at massive impulse and continuation to the upside. If we reject from here, it is still a possibility. We want to be cautious of the flat. The flat right now is not the best. It could be an option. It could be an option. You just look for a higher low. The biggest level of support is the daily level. The golden pocket from this low to this high. It's not looking too great right now, but the daily level is the biggest level of support beneath the lows of today. So that is the zone where the price could get a major bounce. But for the moment, right, we're moving up. Let's go. Continue through the comment section. 𝗬𝗫, make sure to go and check out 𝗬𝗫, guys. Crypto by 𝗬𝗫, CBM is here in the comment section. 110.2K next, says Mark Dutch. 111K should be the top. Woo! Wow, wow, wow. Mark Dutch here saying that 111K should be the top. BTC dominance is surging. Yes, yes. BTC dominance is absolutely flying, legends. What are we going to do about it? It is what it is. It's surging like crazy. It is Bitcoin season. But there will be an altcoin season, guys. It's inevitable. The timing is a little bit difficult. That is the issue with the altcoin season. When are we getting my altcoin bads pumping, right? When are my altcoins going to pump instead of Bitcoin? It's going to happen. 1 month, 3 months, end of the year. We will get that altcoin season, guys. We will get it. It's going to happen. And you need to be positioned, okay, already before they pump. Don't worry, the gains will come. Of course, you need to be ready on when to take profit. I like to dabble onto some altcoins. I got Chainlink, I got Ethereum, I got Valor Network, DAG, ICP. I do have a few other altcoins as well. They're not doing great at all, but they're a very small percentage of the portfolio. Of course, Bitcoin always has to be number one because it always proves to be the leader of the market. So Andy, it does look like an inverse head and shoulder, says my man here, 𝗖𝗿𝘆𝗽𝗍. Andy, looks like an inverse head and shoulder on the daily. If we break all-time high and reject, if we break all-time highs and reject, inverted head and shoulder on the daily. Hang on a second. Let's just get this out of the way. And let's go to, yeah, hang on a second. On the daily, an inverted head and shoulder. I don't know. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I do see it. Yeah, that would be interesting. This does look very bullish as an impulse, I have to say, right? We're only just forming a massive uptrend, you know, very impulsive breakouts. Inverted head and shoulder, right? it would be kind of nice if we fake out from all-time high and then we form that right shoulder. And then interesting scenario. I mean, this would be a pretty much something that is kind of expected, some kind of a rejection at all-time high, right? 111, 115K. I don't know, guys. Imagine that we just blast off and we go to 130, you know, and we pump 20K. That will be surprising, right? Bitcoin's here to surprise us. Who knows? But yeah, interesting scenario. I would still be bullish on the movement down, okay? I think this would be a corrective move that we would analyze, of course, in the next coming weeks. To then, yeah, this would be interesting. Inverted head and shoulder. Possibly, right? And we do just, you know, don't manage to break out from all-time high successfully. But I don't know. Let's see. Let's see. Remember, everybody that has bought Bitcoin is in a profit. No matter who bought, your friend, your grandfather, your most hated friend, your brother, your sister, you, everybody, the whales are in profits, okay? And what happens when everybody is in profit? What happens when everybody is in profit? Okay? It's only a matter of time that you will get a big fat whale that will be the first ones to take the profits, right? I don't think we will double top. But when you get such a major correction and you rally back up to all-time high, you know, smart money, this was definitely smart money, because just after a year, we were trading below, you know, $30,000, even $20,000, right? So everybody's in, you know, this is why double tops on higher time frames are very famous. You know, everybody is in profit, and big banks and institutions that have been buying throughout the last few months are, you know, regardless if it's 30% profit or 40 or 50, you know, that's something that is definitely concerning, right? And this is why you create these double tops, right? On the higher time frame, everyone's in profit. And the smartest people eventually, they don't care about an extra 20% profit or an extra 40% profit. If they're already up 60% or 80% on their multi-million investment, right? And they made 50 million or 500 million profit, they're going to say, I'll leave the last dollars for the people that want to expect higher levels, right? But I'm going to get out at all-time high because I want my money and I don't want to ride this down. Right? So it's just something that you always need to have in the back of your mind, right? I'm extremely bullish on Bitcoin and I do see it at $1 million, but I just understand the bankers, institutions, they don't care of 200K Bitcoin or $1 million Bitcoin. They are here to make money today or next week or at the end of the year. So it's just something that you have in the back of your mind, right? That you just need to be aware of. Right? It's not a moment to buy Bitcoin, that is for sure. So anyway, let's go. Finished B wave on the daily. Finished B wave on the daily. Yeah, this is something, I'm not sure if you're talking about an ABC flat. You know, this movement up does look like impulsive, okay? It does look very impulsive. But you could count a double zigzag here. Let's be honest, right? Someone's saying you're finishing a B wave, right? Which eventually you would be looking at this for an A wave. And what you have right now here is a zigzag to the upside. That sideways momentum here. And you do have a pump, a consolidation, and another pump right now with another zigzag move, right? WXY double zigzag. Yeah, I mean, that would be a pretty nasty thing, right? Nasty thing. It's a three-wave structure, guys, instead of a bullish scenario. Surprise, surprise, right? And then market starts dumping very aggressively. Holy moly. I sold a bit of Bitcoin, guys. No financial advice, but, you know, I do still have some Bitcoin. I just want to sit on cash just in case. Everybody's in profit right now, so screw you. Let the last dollar for somebody else to take profit. No. I've learned from the previous cycle. So, you know, this would be a very interesting scenario, right? This would be very interesting, regardless if it would be a running flat or coming down below 70K. Well, that would... It's a possibility, okay? This is the moment of euphoria, guys. We're going to start euphoric price action. And retail are still not in. When you go to the Google Trends and we put, let's see how many people have typed crypto on Google Trends worldwide in the last 5 years. Eventually, you got the bull run of 2021 when, you know, even your granddad was looking for crypto on Google, right? And this went absolutely parabolic. You had November and December of 2024. You know, we got a lot of retail jumping in. Google Trends on crypto, the word crypto was going a little bit crazy. You know, when you see it right now, look how low it is. I'm not sure if you can see this, guys. I'm probably in the middle. Word crypto on Google, very low. Extremely low. Nobody's interested. You know, this is risky. Crypto on Google Trends. Altcoins on Google Trend. Look at this. November, December of 2024. Absolutely flying. That was the top, guys. When retail came in, it was the top. Oh, man. It's just so crazy. When you know how to play the game, it's just fun to see, right? Right now, this is the good thing about altcoins, right? You know, altcoins definitely have that chance in the next coming months. This is why, you know, buying a bit of altcoins on this massive dip that we've had the last few months makes sense. It just makes sense. I'm buying at a premium. I'm buying at a 60-70% dump from the highs of December. Now is when I want to buy, right? The search altcoins, very low, guys, for the last few weeks. Nobody's interested. Best altcoins on Google Trend. Search. Yeah, November went flying. 2021. This time, nobody's interested. Nobody is interested on best altcoins. Screw that. It's a scam. Bitcoin. Even Bitcoin on Google Trends. November was pretty crazy, of course. November, December, when altcoins were surging. It's pretty damn low. Retail are just not in. So this gives me the feeling that we're actually going to break all-time high and go to higher levels, okay? Regardless if it's going to be in the next coming days or in the next coming weeks after a pullback. We need retail to buy the top, guys. We need retail to buy in, right? We need media coming out very aggressively in the next coming weeks. Bitcoin all-time high, the revolution, road to $500,000, road to $300,000 per Bitcoin, very likely in 2025, right? Whoa, it's going to go to 300K? What? No way. It's still at 110. Well, you want to get the dumb money in, right? So the whales can dump on your head. Yeah, we haven't. That's a good sign for the price to go to higher levels. That we don't see much search on Google Trends, and you know, Google Trend has to be one of the best tools at the moment, right, to identify if the retail people are joining in. And apparently, it's pretty flat on Bitcoin, new altcoins, you know, you name it. So yeah, legends, thank you very much for joining the stream. Much love to everybody. Remember that you do get insane bonuses down below. I think I'm just going to scratch that 2K profit from that rest of the position. I mean, this one was mostly taken. But whoever's been longing throughout different scenarios, maintained some of the positions, right? We were trying to find new longs, but regardless, today, you know, was not easy. Price was just pumping. Much love to everybody. Remember, you get those bonuses, guys. Bluffing, $300 deposit bonus. All right. You got more bonuses eventually, but this is just a 2K deposit. You get $300. Weeks, great option. 25% fee reduction on your trades. Up to $2,000 bonus once you trade 5 million in volume. Okay. Up to $30,000 in total rewards with that 25% fee reduction. You just need an email and a password to trade on Weeks Legends, okay? So take advantage. Weeks are bluffing. They're great, you know, both great exchanges. You just need an email and a password, no VPN. Take advantage, Legends, and trade Bitcoin, altcoins, and use those bonuses, free money for you. Legends, thank you very much for joining today's stream. It's exciting. I kind of feel that I want to hold on. I talked about a few scenarios. Let's see if we smash through all-time high or not. We will see. Much love to everybody, and I'll see you in the next one.